Just let me know whenever we're going live.
We are going live now, but remember there's a 20-second delay.
I know. I'm just kidding. I saw the live button. You always set me up like that. I was like, all right, let me know when you. Oh, we're live. Okay. Okay. Cool.
We'll figure it out. We're kind of figuring it out from here. Don't forget the 20-second delay since we're streaming on your channel too. I'm gonna edit this out when we upload it to YouTube too. So
For sure. For sure.
okay, did I not hit? Okay, it said live here. So why is it not updating here?
We're live. We're definitely live. I'm watching it on Rumble.
My channel is not. What is
Did
what the
you select both?
Yes, I did. Okay, now, okay, I see what I did here.
Well, I'm watching it on. I'm watching it on yours.
Why is it not on yours?
I don't know.
I gave it a
Yeah,
stream
I'm
key.
live. I'm live on mine. Yep.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say because we're doing this on yours, I want to make sure we get your comments as well. All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the PewMongous Podcast. This is episode 3 here, where we talk about guns and where they came from and all that good stuff. So, yeah, if you guys haven't heard this podcast before, please do me a favor, subscribe to both me and DLD After Dark, and you can see all these podcasts live every Sunday at 9 p.m. As I said before, my name's Joe. I'm from Shooting Gallery, and my co-host,
I'm Dark
Dark.
with DLD After Dark. Welcome. Thanks for having me, Joe. Great to see you.
Great to see you
And
too.
great to see all you guys and gals out there as well. We have a very interesting topic tonight, which is we're going to be discussing shotguns. And initially, we were saying like, hey, let's just go over the Maverick Model 88, which is a Mossberg shotgun. Then we were like, well, let's go over the Mossberg 500. If we're going to do the 500 and the Maverick 88, we should do the 590. But if we're going to do the 500 and the 590 and the Maverick, we should also do the 870. And so a lot of conversation brought us here, and there's a lot of interesting stuff on these tubular scatter guns here. So
Yeah, the boomsticks. Okay, that's
you know,
that's what we like to call them. We like to call them the boomsticks. I'm making sure I get all my specs up here, guys. When you were getting into shotguns, you're gonna realize each model, whether it's the Mossberg 500 or the Remington 870, there's probably about 50 different models of each. It could
yep,
be the 500 Turkey Hunter, the 870 Field Master, the Marine Magnum, the Slug-O-Matic. I don't know what the hell they're called.
Slug-O-Matic. The Turcanelli.
Yeah. What? Can I get a Turcanelli? Who makes the Turcanelli?
Turkey?
I, I I heard this on YouTube, and they keep calling it a Turcanelli. And I saw them do 1,000 round torture test on ballistic gel. I think it's the greatest. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. That was my uh,
Random
mocking.
viewer voice. You're
Yeah, that was my mocking of someone who has probably watched every Garantham video ever existed. Remember, guys, if you have any questions for us tonight, please do me a favor and shout it out in either of our comment sections.
yep.
Uh, but let's go up with a little bit of history. So the 500 or 870 Dark, they are probably the two most popular shotguns in existence.
Are you
And
asking me to pick one
yeah,
or?
we'll
Oh,
just
okay.
we'll
You
start
want
off
to go
that way.
first? Rock paper scissors? Or no, I'm kidding. Look, I think a lot of it is spec related. I think a lot of people when making this kind of decision, they try to inform themselves with as much data as possible, and then make a decision based off of that. However, I'm a little bit more simple and smooth brained when it comes to my decisions. So I'm like, what did I grow up shooting? I grew up shooting an 870. Therefore, my muscle memory for safety, for for the action release, and for all that is 870. Now, right now, I have in my hands a Mossberg 590, but I got an 870 in the other room. I think both platforms are excellent, but if I had to pick one, it would be an 870.
Really? Oh, okay. So this is going to be a little bit different because I am the exact opposite. I
Mm,
am not a 870 fan. I have this is my Maverick 88. I've had this. This was like the third shotgun I ever purchased. But when I was younger, I had to sell every gun I ever owned to like pay some bills.
mm.
And this was the first shotgun I bought once I kind of got my shit together in life, and I bought it from Dick's Sporting Goods for $300. And
I
yeah,
think it was $300.
yeah, oh yeah,
They're 199 out here, bro.
yeah. Again, I was in Massachusetts at Dick's Sporting
Oh,
Goods,
oh, gotcha. That's right.
and they had to follow me to the park to this front door. They wouldn't allow me to just carry it and walk out.
Through the store, yeah, because you're too much of a liability,
Yeah,
clearly.
like I'm clearly gonna, and like they don't realize that the barrel comes disassembled, and you have to like add all this other stuff just to get it working. But this is the 18-inch like home defender model. But I've had this shotgun for years. I've had a couple different stocks. I like the mechanics of the Maverick, which is essentially the Mossberg 500. I do got some specs. We always try to start the show off with some specs. So we're going to go over the Mossberg 500 first. Okay. Now, the 500, as the Google says, is it covers an entire family of pump shotguns, usually chambered between 2 3/4 or 3-inch shells. They are chambered between 12, 20, 410 bore, which is a 410 shotgun shell. 12 gauge being the most popular. There was a 16 gauge model introduced in 1963, but then later discontinued. The standard
Then it died.
finishes, yeah, it just if you're shooting 16 gauge, I'm sorry. I'm all set. But the standard finish on the Mossberg 500 is an anodized aluminum alloy receiver with a polished blued barrel. Some other models would have a matte finish, matte anodized receiver, and then some models are anodized to look Parkerized with Parkerized barrels, which also is true of the 590 series of aluminum receivers. Obviously, cannot be Parkerized. So
Yeah.
they come in many different barrel lengths between 18 and a half, 20, 24, even 29 and 20, 30-inch barrels, depending on the model. Let's see here. Usually they're obviously pump action. They have a safety right on the rear tang. But there is 3 different types they're usually looking at when you're considering the 500. There's the Maverick 88, which is the economy style, has all the same features, but the safety's in a different spot, and it doesn't accept 500 forends, and the parts are made in Mexico. Then there's the standard 500, where you have the well-known tang safety and all that good stuff, and then there's the 500. The 590, which is the military souped up version where it has a couple different features as well. But now with the Remington 870, it's offered. Now we're going to get into this a little bit later, but Remington is not the Remington of old now. I think
Yeah.
they're under Rem Arms now.
Which is owned by PSA.
I did not know that. I did
Yeah.
not know. Oh,
Yeah.
I did.
PSA, the holdings company is owned by
JJE.
PSA.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, that's new information I didn't know of. But yeah, the old we're gonna get into why I personally don't like the 870s, just because of Freedom Group era 870s. Okay, and they usually are offered in 12 and 20 gauge. Chamber lengths are between 2 3/4 to 3-inch magnums. They have barrel lengths between 18 3/4, 21, 26, 28 with vented rib, white bead front sight on the barrel. They're sling ready, drilled and tapped for optics. Receiver is milled from solid billet of steel for maximum strength reliability.
Sorry,
Again,
they're of what? Of what kind of material?
solid build, milled from a solid build of steel. So
Steel.
yeah,
Okay. Steel.
okay,
So
yeah,
not aluminum. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
not
Sorry. Go
aluminum.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm right off Remington's website.
Yeah,
uh,
I know,
yeah.
billet aluminum or just billet steel or aluminum you choose. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it literally says solid BILLED. There's probably a typo here, to be quite honest.
They probably had AI do it because they're lazy. It's
Yeah,
probably supposed to be billet,
yeah,
but
billet steel. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I was about to say. It says improved twin action bars to prevent binding and twisting for maximum strength, reliability, and sleeky smooth cycle of operations. Enhanced satin finish on the barrel and receiver provides better durability and protection against rust. Walnut stock set, fleur de lis checkling on the stock and the fore end, and then it comes with. Okay, I don't care about that. Cool. All right, so those are the specs. You can tell, guys, there's a wide variety of different barrel lengths and options you can get with either the Mossberg 500 or the Remington 870. So, Dark, if
Yeah.
you say you are a Remington 870 guy, I'm guessing you grew up on an early 80s model of Remington 870. I see Christy
I did.
Trotel in the chat. What is up, my dear? Hope you're doing well.
What's
Um,
up? And I'm watching my chat, which has got T for Texas, Fat Gray Man, Goonbeam, all you guys. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, I did. So the models that I was shooting, as you know, not when I was growing up, but when I was younger, because I wasn't actually shooting a lot when I was like young. Where I grew up was not too far from DC, and back then like handguns were literally illegal in DC, and basically guns were for cops and robbers, right? My dad did always have lever action Marlin 3030, but aside from that, I didn't really shoot when I was super young. But growing up, I was exposed to some firearms. Actually was exposed to some firearms in a church group, believe it or not. And I went, actually, the first time I went shooting and shot like real significant equipment was actually with an ATF agent at my church when I was like 13, a
that's
literal ATF agent,
isn't
which
that so funky considering
yeah, especially with what I do now, like literally on the boxes on everything I ship from DLD Hardware, it literally says F the ATF on it. Hilarious, right? The dude that got me into guns, and I was shooting like a 3 round burst M4, whatever, M16 A2 probably, but it was more dressed up like an M4, 14 and a half inch. I guess a technical M4, but either way, a 2 round burst MP5, um, a bunch of Glocks and other stuff. But anyway, um, the Remington 870s that I was shooting was actually like a metal trigger group, metal trigger, like old school. None of this polymer bullshit that we have nowadays. So it was different. And somewhere along the lines, things changed within Remington, and they started kind of cutting corners, and they stopped polishing the guts. They stopped including metal, in the trigger packs and the trigger assembly, the trigger guards, and all that. So somewhere along the line, like yes, they started to reduce in quality, but I'd say probably around the later 90s, maybe early 2000s. I don't recall exactly when, but for the most part, I loved and maybe it wasn't that like my preference was the controls where they were at and all that. Maybe it was just that I had been shooting them as a, teenager and young adult later in life, that's just what I became comfortable with. I think if somebody literally before I had any preference at all laid down both guns side by side and said pick one, maybe I wouldn't have picked an 870, but my first shotgun at 18 was an 870. My first legal shotgun that I purchased from a gun shop was an 870, and I dressed it up to be just like the Terminator 2, the one with
yes.
the for law enforcement only overhanging stock. And for those that don't know, that time period produced things like that. The 94 to '04 ban was still in effect, and those for law enforcement only items were a big deal, so I used that stock. I used the +3 extension, so it was, or +4. It was either 7+1 or 8+1, but it was a good amount of ammunition, and I had the stupid uh, plastic or metal. I forget, uh, side side. What do you call it? Um, the shell holder.
Side saddle.
Side saddle, yeah, thank you. So this one I actually have set up with a Velcro one, which I'll show you guys in a bit. It's from S-Tac. I love it. But yeah, it was the older ones, way before like federal flight control, way before like a lot of the things that we get to enjoy as shotgunners
So I'm
nowadays.
guessing you're not rocking these.
I have some of those. There's actually some of those in the bandolier that I was wearing. So this bandolier is filled with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flight control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the S&B here. These are on a speed strip, but these are
Oh,
the S&B um, 2 3/4. I also have some speed strips of the 3 inch of these. These are pretty badass rounds. They're nowhere near the effectiveness of a flight control because this is basically squirting a line of pellets into a target, like up to like 50 yards accurately. Beyond 50 to 70, you kind of start to spread out of one silhouette, as long as you don't mind hitting a couple people. And then beyond 70 to 100, you
I will say, and guys, when as we're talking, the reason we're talking about shotguns is shotguns are so versatile. They're some of the most utilitarian
Mhm.
firearms in the world.
Yep.
Okay, there are certain countries where it is illegal to have certain guns, but a pump shotgun or any type a 12 gauge shotgun shell is allowed. Like
Mhm.
the shotgun, a 12 gauge is like me personally. I shoot 20 gauge more than I shoot 12, just
Really?
because I like 20 gauge a lot more. It's a lot lighter on recoil, and I think if I had a longer barrel on this gun, I'd probably shoot them a lot more because I'm right down the street from one of the best sporting clay ranges in South Florida. So
Mm, nice.
when I first moved down here, I shot a lot of shotgun, and it was actually out of a Springfield 67F, an old Springfield 20 gauge shotgun, and it's got about 1,000 rounds through it, and I haven't cleaned it once. So,
I
uh,
saw your YouTube short on that. I think you were shooting skeet with that, right?
I was shooting sporting clays, yeah,
Yeah.
and I was doing really good. But with the shotgun itself, like there's so much versatility between 12 gauge in general. I
Yep.
personally think if you're gonna have a helm defense firearm, whether it's a pistol, rifle, or shotgun, if you're gonna have a shotgun, have a pump. And not
Yep.
because those old fuzz at the shop saying, well, all you got to do is just do this and that perp is gonna walk away. Like, no, that's
Yeah.
not
No.
why. It's just
If anything, if they're lucky, all they're gonna hear is this.
yeah.
That's what they're gonna hear if they're coming in front of the business end of my shotgun, and
Just
that's if they're lucky. Yeah, the safety going
click.
like yeah, and I've gotten really really good at walking it there, so you don't really hear it like all the way. Just kind of hold on, you know. Anyway,
Dude,
yeah,
we gotta be more sly and get like a shot timer, or it's just like beep.
I know, right? Dude, I'll tell you though, there's actually a lot more differences that I was totally unaware of. Like the difference between barrel thickness for the 500 and the 590 versus like the 590A1. So apparently the 590A1 and the 500A1, I think they're both 500A1 and 590A1. Uh, maybe only the 590A1. I got to look this up to be certain, but I know the 590A1 versus a standard 500 uses a different barrel thickness. And to prevent denting and warping of the barrel, they're actually using 0.930 steel thickness as opposed to 0.855. And the dope thing that I found out, because a lot of people, the biggest differences between an 870 and a Mossberg receiver is obviously the 870 receiver is made of steel, and the Mossberg receiver is made of aluminum. And one of the biggest reasons that they can with this system that they can even do that is because with the Remington 870, the bolt lockup is between the receiver and the bolt, right? So that is where it is locking between the action arms, which are steel, the bolt, which is steel, and the receiver, which is steel. Whereas with the design of the Mossbergs, what they're doing is they're locking up between the barrel, which is steel, and the bolt, which is steel. So because their system is different, they could use an aluminum receiver. And there's a couple things. So let's see. So obviously, I mentioned the 870 is between the lockup is between the bolt and the receiver. So that model needs to have a steel receiver. The bolt and lockup with the Mossberg is achieved between the steel bolt and the steel barrel. Because of this design, they're able to use a lighter and less rigid material without sacrificing rigidity. However, side note, a well known skeet and trap forum has rated the Mossberg 500 and 590s to be a 170,000 round gun, and the Remington 870 to be a 250,000 round gun. The same forum, though, has, let's see, um, the same forum, there are moderators that have firsthand examples of both Mossberg 500s, 590s, and Remington 870s all going beyond a million rounds.
I mean, I think reliability with that statistic right there of, again, just doing some quick searching, especially on Trap and Skeet and Sporting Clay forums.
Yeah.
Both these guns can handle abuse. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I to be quite honest, I haven't shot this 12 gauge in probably 2 years.
Really?
I shoot 20 gauge more. Hold on, I'll let you know. Again, this is clear here.
I just emptied this for you guys. Otherwise, it was totally loaded.
Yeah, I emptied mine too. Mine was ready to go, but you can tell for those who are listening, I'm pointing at my finger of 2 years of really not shooting this gun, and there's a little bit of carbon on here, but
Yeah,
this thing is awesome. I gotta get this to the range and shoot this more because just damn, it's so good.
yeah, it's a good gun.
Yeah.
So I imagine you're a Mossberg guy.
Yes, I am a Mossberg guy. I enjoy working on Mossbergs as a gunsmith. I had to work on Remingtons a lot more than Mossbergs when it came to like actually having to fix them, not just like swapping a stock or a fore end out. I tend to enjoy the Mossbergs more just because of, with my experience again as a gunsmith for 5 years, I've worked on many shotguns. The Remingtons were the ones that gave me the most trouble, unless it was an early 80s model and it just needed to be cleaned because it hasn't been cleaned since Granddad had passed it down to through generations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I'm a Mossberg fan. And the 870 is like, I respect what the 870 did for the firearms industry. Like every cop in the country had an 870 at one point in the back of the cruiser. Okay, like the 870 is one of the most iconic firearms ever made.
Yeah, I mean, and going to the how, like, from a utilitarian aspect, like you said, how diverse the shotgun is. And nowadays everything is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's like, fuck that. Now, uh
Gay.
how diverse of a platform it is. Like you said, you could throw 12 gauge birdshot in it, you could throw a 12 gauge buckshot in it, you could throw 12 gauge slugs in it, you could throw copper high velocity slugs in it, you could throw armor piercing shit, dragon's breath. I mean, there is no
Dragon's breath.
end. Yeah. So laugh, but there is a way, and I'm probably, I don't know, maybe within the next like few months. It's not a project I'm focused on. And let me know in chat if you guys want to see this. Um, I have a way to make dragon's breath that is like actually ballistically effective against squishy targets, like silhouette shaped targets like humans. And I don't know. I guess I need to check into like legalities and stuff and make sure
Yeah,
that
I
I'm
know.
able to do that.
Yeah, you might want to check into that. Now let's kind of get into like the fun side of shotguns of like
What
upgrading.
real quick, sorry, just to finish my one thought was the other thing is that there's all these adapters available now. Usually adapters
Yes.
are not best utilized for pump actions, right? Usually they're best utilized in like break action, single shots, whatever. But the shotgun is one of the only, one of the few. There's a lot of others, but one of the few firearms that you could literally get a break action shotgun, throw in an adapter, shoot 22, 380, 9 millimeter, 40, 45, 10 millimeter, 357 Magnum, right? So no matter what, you know if you're in a bad situation, shit goes down. If you have targets within 100 yards, shotguns are an excellent option. And you are drastically under, you know, outgunned when it comes to capacity. So we have some other stuff that we can touch on for capacity later on. But I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to finish that.
Yeah, no problem. That's what this podcast is for, is getting the information out there.
Yeah,
So with the 500 and the 870, if you're going to get any upgrade or you want to trick it out, or even if you want to get like specialty rounds, the 500 or the 870 would be the best, because again, pump shotguns literally doesn't have to worry about a gas system having to cycle a round out of the chamber and stuff like that. So
yeah,
there's some cool shotgun rounds out there that are just like Dragon's Breath. It's like I'd say the most
Dr-
redneck, the most redneck round you can get.
all it
Um,
is honestly is magnesium that just catches on fire as it shoots out. It's like compacted magnesium powder. Um, Magnesium powder is also great for other things too, but with when it comes to that stuff, it's basically ineffective. The whole people freaking out about Dragon's Breath and banning it, and watching John Wick, he was using Dragon's Breath as if it was an effective self defense cartridge. It's not, right? Like you fire anything at 13 to 1500 feet per second and you're going to hurt somebody, right? But like one shot, one kill every single time with Dragon's Breath through a kill house, no, not happening. I
I
don't
don't
believe
see
it.
it happening. No. Well, then there's certain Sabo buckshots. There's rubber bullets. I've wanted to get a set of like a pack of rubber bullets from my shotgun. I don't know why. I just
I got some. I got some batons, some rubber batons, which are rubber slugs,
yeah.
and those things, they're less than lethal, but they could still absolutely be lethal if depending on where you hit the person.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's so many different double op bucks, so many different buckshots. The Berniki being probably you want like maximum power. If you get like a Berniki Black Magic slug, or the KO slug or something like that. There's so many different like fun shotgun shells you can get.
Yeah.
Or then the Aguila coming out with the mini shells.
Yep.
I know I don't know with the 870, but I know with certain 500s you need to change out the magazine follower in the tube for it to work with the Aguila mini shells, but I don't know with the 870.
So it's actually a small polymer rubber type of insert that goes inside. I actually have one downstairs. I was looking on my desk, but I don't have it here. And shout out to my boy Archie that sent me that. Archie 2A3D sent me one of the piece for the Mossberg 590 and two boxes of birdshot. I just haven't been able to. I can't shoot birdshot in my indoor ranges, which is all I currently have access to. But I should hopefully be getting out to this dude's land that's going to let me shoot. But anyway, the piece is a piece that actually this I've already made it hot again, but just real quick, inside the whatchamacallit, it literally
The
slides.
lifter.
Yeah, it literally slides in right here. So that way it or no, on the back side. So that way it doesn't uh your action arms can't go all the way back, so you can't like overstroke it. And it also keeps it basically halts the action, right? So you can't like go the full distance. It literally stops it, and it's just a small little block that rests right there. And because it's kind of rubberized like polymer, you basically squish it in there, and then you can essentially almost double your capacity using those small shells. And when you're using slugs, dude, uh, you're not changing, and I don't know how they do it. You're not changing the ballistics, like the efficiency of your cartridge by that much, but you're increasing your capacity tremendously. So it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. I think that if I know Mossberg comes out with 500s and 590 S's, which are like specifically made for the like you can use literally everything, but they're made also to reliably function with the Aguila mini shells.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but then if you wanted to just trick it out, like with my Maverick 88, I know with 870s as well, because I know we both are showing off the 500 variants, but I know you
Hmm.
have an 870. But me, I have a Weaver over the receiver rail right here. So if I wanted to add
Mhm.
an optic, I've only added one optic. It is a 1913 rail. It's not a Weaver rail, but I did have an optic on here at one point, but then I swapped some things around.
Yeah.
But I have the Flash 5 Tactiload shotgun stock. I have a video on my channel about this.
Yeah,
This thing
that's
is
cool.
nice. It holds 5 extra shotgun shells, so I don't have to worry about a side saddle. It does have additions for a sling, kind of like your standard sling, but the only downside to the 88, I can't put a aftermarket fore end on here unless I buy a 500 fore end extension, and then I can slide the 500 fore end on here. But with certain shotguns, you can get stuff from, say, Magpul. You can get so many different types of stock attachments. GG&G has them. Nordic Components has uh, magazine extension tubes for both models.
GG&G is dope. It's a highly underrated
Yeah.
company. I would say that. Um, I threw a uh, primary arms, just their micro red dot, the aim point clone essentially, and this thing has been great. I have it sighted in pretty well for slugs and buckshot, and I threw on a literally the cheapest. This is safe. I made it safe again. I threw on the cheapest little NC Star, like $11 pick rail on it, but it works. And I mean, it holds zero very well, and it's got an SBA4 brace with the 14.5-inch barrel. This is just a firearm. It is not a shotgun technically, but either way, when it comes to additional rounds of ammunition, um, I used to rock the polymer side saddles, but once you clear those rounds, so let's say I got 5, 6 rounds in here, right? And I go bang, 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 right, and I let all 6 go. If I go through this 6 rounds, then I'm done. That's it. So unless I have my bandolier and all the speed strips and all the shit all over me, then this is no more, and no longer effective. And unless I'm going to pull off my person and put them here to bring them closer to the gun, to the action, there's really no point of of having it. So this system is the STAC Velcro system, and I literally used to like make fun of dudes with their Velcro side saddles because I didn't know what you could do with them, right? So here's the other one here. So let's say I have a chest rig, right? And here, I'll turn it around like this. There you go. So let's say I have a chest rig, right? And in my chest rig, I have a bunch of these in the spots where you would have your AR mags or 308 mags or whatever. If I have these loaded up, then what I do is I run through the 6, right? Bang, 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 bang. And I run on empty. Usually what I would do is I would breech load one, and I have a little tip to help people breech load. But basically, roll around, breech load, or feed from here, breech load, turn it upside down, tube load, right, and then get back into the fight. But then when I'm empty, I rip this off, throw it at the enemy. I'm just kidding. Rip this off, set it over there, grab another one, and bam! I already have another side saddle on here that's ready to go. You know, re re you know re reloaded, and then I can boom and re-engage.
That's actually a very smart idea. I watched a video with James Reeves of TAP TV. He did a video showing how it's actually a very simple process. Because again, some people can actually get like plate carriers. Look at those. Look at
This
those.
is 15 36 cal projectiles. One pull of the trigger is like dumping a Glock 19 magazine on your target. This thing is nasty. Sorry, my apology. Yes, that James Reeves, he did a 1301 video, and also he did a Maverick Model 88 video with the same setup. And this is just great. It doesn't have to be, super accurate. It's literally just stupid cheap Velcro. These are $15 by STAC. They're crazy inexpensive, and you load your rig up with them. You can also literally just Velcro them to your hook and loop on your kit, and then when you run dry, you just bam. You don't have to place it there nicely. It could be all fudged up like that, and it's still going to serve its purpose, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And again, people are starting to get to this concept of putting optics on their shotguns now, a lot more prevalently. They're not just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna take my shotgun and just point, and I don't even need to aim." It's like, no, you kind of do.
All
All
they
right.
need to hear is, and they're going to be
Oh,
running out of that shit's so
I
stupid, dude.
worked at a shop where I heard one dude say that, and I walked over to him after they were done. And I was like, "Don't ever say that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're giving the worst information. Like,
yeah,
I'm not being." I was like, "Dude, I'm not being a dick when I say this. You sound like an idiot.
yeah,
Like, don't say that to people because that's what they're gonna think, and they could get themselves killed."
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
And if you're not ready to exchange precious metals at a target, then you're not ready to take out your firearm. Meaning that if you don't fear, what's wrong? You good? My dog, he's like tripping out. Meaning that if you don't, like, if you're not in like imminent fear of death or grievous bodily harm, you're there's no reason to pull out your firearm, whether we're talking about a shotgun from the safe or the closet or under your bed or whatever, or whether you're drawing your handgun in a self-defense scenario. If you're not ready to deposit precious metals in their sternum, don't pull out your gun, which means you don't want to go and try to scare people out of your house. Like, that's so fucking retarded. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube is not gonna like that. We're on Rumble now, so sorry. That's
we're
so
on Rumble, we
fucking
can say
stupid.
that, but don't worry. I think YouTube would allow us to say one cuss word. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's effing tatted. That's what it is.
I love how you have a better Boston accent than me, and I'm actually from Massachusetts.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, no, I that's how I usually like to trick mine out. I'd like to get like a full Magpul setup, Magpul front end, Magpul Hunter X stock, uh, that and and a simple red dot like a Gideon Optics Mediator. That would be my ideal home defense shotgun.
Yeah,
I've never been a fan of the Surefire four ends that
no.
had the light and stuff. Like it's cool, but it just makes it a little bit heavier, and the battery. You got to worry about the batteries draining. So
Well, and it was like 80 lumens. Like, it was the worst light ever. Now, of
yeah,
course, nowadays, like you said, GG&G makes a lot of good products. One of the products that they make are the little piece that you can thread down under your takedown screw cap, right? It has a Picatinny rail, and you could literally put and a lot of excuse me, a lot of shotguns have M-lock on it now, like the Beretta 8300 Patrol or whatever it is, A300 Patrol. That's right.
yeah.
Um,
That's a
Ultima.
dope gun. Oh,
Dude, and did you know that Big Mac Defense has them for like under $1,000? I'm just saying. Even PSA had them for like 10.99. He's selling them for like nine something. He even may have sold one to my brother for like 860 or something like that. But I don't think I'm supposed to say that, so let's not say that. I won't say that.
I've always wanted one of that's like semi-auto shotguns. There's two. I always wanted a 1301 because I think it's an awesome shotgun, but at the same time, an A300 Patrol, same
Yeah.
same thing, and a Benelli M4. Now that the Turkinellis are coming out for like 450, I would totally get a Turkinelli because I'm not paying $2,000 for a Benelli M4, and then have an
No.
extra 500 for the iconic stock. Um,
Well, they're even more than that now, but the Berettas could be had for under, let's say under a grand, depending on where you get it. It's totally worth it and the systems are different between the 1300 and the A300, but they're just slightly different. Like, there's one piston rod instead of two piston rods, and you can't swap the stock out as easily because there's not as much aftermarket support for the A300 Ultima as there is for the 1301. But I mean, dude, if you're just gonna run it as is, run it as is. You get like what, 8+1 in that thing, and this is like one of the few semi-auto shotguns out there that from the effing factory will run slugs, buckshot, field loads like number 4 buckshot, field stuff, number 8 shot, like just bird shot from the factory. Low brass bird shot will run in your A300, which is crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But now that we kind of talked about like cool novelty shotgun shells and how we like to trick out our 870s or 500s, let's kind of get into. I know we always both kind of go like back and forth on what we wish certain things had and what we kind of like discussing the downfalls of our particular gun that we're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, with the 870 now, it's one of the downfalls that I personally have seen just because again, I was a gunsmith for 5 years. I've worked on many different types and eras of 870s. And again, I'm not saying this just because like I'm a Mossberg guy, but like and again, I said in the beginning of the show, I respect what the 870 did for the industry. Um, but depending anything that was made prior to Freedom Group typically is a good gun. I wish they kind of kept that same quality, but when Freedom Group took over, they kind of just completely dicked it up. Like
I
the
honestly think Freedom Group was an attempt for the Obama administration to take over the entire gun industry. So I agree they brought a lot of shit
oh
to
whoa
pieces.
whoa, you dropping some bombs like that where that you could have a whole podcast on that. We will have
I'm
to
just saying.
okay, we're gonna have to revisit that on a different show because I would love to get into that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Look how much freedom, how many businesses freedom. Anyway, sorry. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
So please continue.
yeah. So the Freedom Group. I want someone to comment on this podcast, being like, "I want to know more."
Yeah. Right.
It's like that movie Starship Troopers. Do you want to know more?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 870, the quality control just wasn't there. And then when Rem Arms came out, which is I guess controlled by PSA,
Yeah.
uh, they're okay. Like they're
Shop
I've
used 870. What I would say, shop used 870s. The older, the better. You
yeah
can still. They're all. And this is one. So I think I kind of know where you're heading. Um, and I don't mean to cut you off. It's just one thing. Brand new 870s on the floor, I don't think are worth what
yeah
I
no
mean. These things are going for six, seven, $800.
yeah
Like
they're not worth it no.
no, no, and I would rather get an old 870 like a Wingmaster with a metal fire control group. Oh my goodness, with a metal fire control group, and then change everything I want out, to make it my own gun, and maybe even throw some 3.5 inches in there, but the or some 3 inches in there. The thing is this gun, if you look at the evolution of every other firearm in the entire industry, everything has evolved and moved forward somewhere, right? Like I remember when M-Lock dropped, and it was around the same time that Keymod was huge, and everyone's like, Keymod's gonna be everything. I remember this one dude that had been in the industry for like 40 years. He like leaned over to me. He was like, I literally asked to purchase a handguard in Keymod. He was like, dude, buy it in M-Lock. It will be the future. And I was like, but Keymon looks so cool. He's like, trust me. Bought the M-Lock, boom. Like what happens? M-Lock, just destroys, dominates the industry, right? Like looking at M-Lock, looking at where pick rails have gone, they're still effective and they're still here for some things. Looking at ARs, everything that's changed, everything like everything is developing, growing, and getting better and improving. And then you look at things like the 870. Remington has built their entire business off of a gun that has been the same for a literal century. It's like, yes, there are different. So same gun, different plastic put on it. Like I want to see from the factory, not Remington taking, you know, Magpul stuff and slapping it on there and garnering respect from the advancement of their items of their firearms with Magpul's shit that they made and they designed. Like I want to see you know Remington making the advancement. I want to see more pick rails for lights. I want to see more M-Lock for lights and for accessories. I want to see more optic friendly items come out. I want to see more advancement in the platform. There hasn't been enough advancement in Mossbergs and Remingtons for 100 years. It's
I
crazy.
think they're sticking with their laurels because the 500, and again, the 500 has that diagnosis too, where they just slap a Magpul, they slap uh, some type, give whatever aftermarket stock or forend on there to kind of maintain some type of relevance with a new crowd that are trying to get into tactical shotguns.
Yeah.
So the only thing I've seen with Mossberg is they're actually starting to sell certain 500s or 590s cut for like an RMSCC, so you can put like a 507K or like something like that, which was weird.
Interesting. I had not seen.
Drilled for the on the receiver for those. Not you get like a certain stock that has that attachment right behind where the receiver meets the stock, but like on the receiver. But the only other ones are like the hunting shotguns, where like they're putting like real tree or mossy oak camo or some shit like that, where
Yeah.
you can put it for bird hunting.
You remember like the Remington 887 Nitro? You remember
Yes,
that?
yes,
That was I remember when I first saw those come out, and it was this like totally encapsulated polymer design, and I was like, man, that's unique, right? That's cool. Maybe shotguns are heading in a different direction.
and
And
then they
then,
came out with the mag fed 870s and 500s, which were just dumb.
dude,
The-
yeah, no, I would never, ever, ever, ever. If and for anyone out there, if you're like, I'm considering a Mossberg 930, but I really want this mag-fed pump action Mossberg. Like, no, don't get it. Don't get it. You're going to be, if ever you need to use that in an actual firefight, you are going to be breech loading for your life because you're going to run out of mags like that. No kit is going to be able to hold your mags. You're going to be looking dumb as shit trying to breach load just to not die, to get back to a different gun to make better
yeah,
choices.
they're heavy, they're bulky, they're expensive. Those mags are like $70 a pop. They're like breaching some sig. I'm just checking the chat. I see Zanti Misfit out there. What is going on, Zanti?
Seems
Do you have any questions on your end, on your side, or is it just typical shenanigans with your crew?
so let's see. Mossberg versus Remington 870. That's a tough question. I'd say Winchester 1200 or 1300. Depending. It's funny. The Winchester 1300 was like the prison guard shotgun for
Yeah,
like 20, 30 years. I guess when I said that I would select an 870, somebody said, "What?" That was Fat Gray Man. Somebody mentioned cut shells. Cut shells are a
yeah.
thing too.
Cut shells are a thing. Waxers are a thing.
Yep, yep. I've done a bunch of waxers. I've done a bunch of, and usually using hot glue, in my opinion, is better than using like crayon wax and shit like that. Also, I mean, just you know, in my humble opinion, if let's say you got a bunch of like birdshot, right, low brass birdshot, and you want to upgrade it to like almost number four buckshot, if you were to open up the crimp and you were to dump out the pesky birdshot, which is not really effective for all things, but effective for some things, if you were to put in some 22 cal BBs, like metal BBs for 22 cal, air guns, those are very, very, very close to a number four buckshot and give you at least, you need to count it out. You need to do the math right. You can't just dump it up to the top, even though sometimes I've done that before, and then literally put a dab of hot glue in there and then push the crimp back down. Like you could definitely do that. You can also just cut the crimp off and then seal it with hot glue as well. But cleaning hot glue out of your gun and all that stuff, it's just nasty and disgusting. The other thing too, rifled barrels for slugs. I mean, dude, the sabos out there, like, man, you can do some serious damage at some pretty considerable distance for shotguns with rifled slugs and the sabos, and not rifled slugs, I'm sorry, slugs and a rifled barrel, which are different than rifled slugs.
Ironically, yeah, if you do rifled slugs in a rifled shotgun barrel, you completely dick up your barrel.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know that, and I was just like, "Oh, cool." And I've never really had a shotgun with rifled barrels, so I was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah,
Um,
it's different. So traditional slugs like these, let's see, these slugs here, these are designed for cylinder bore, which is a smooth bore, right? the slug itself in here is rifled, so it puts a spin on the slug to be more accurate out of a smooth bore barrel. Now, if you take your barrel off and then put on a rifled barrel, then it's the barrel is rifled to stabilize sabot slugs, which are not rifled. So it's but they have a sabot on them, right? So you're basically swapping it out for like shooting a very large hollow point projectile, usually hollow point or some type of ballistic point projectile at a distance greater because it is a rifled barrel as opposed to a rifled slug where the rifling indentions are literally cut into this projectile. So it's just different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So getting back to what we were talking about with like what we wish they did, I think I'd have to agree. I want to see some innovation with the 500 or the 870. Like, I think they need to start coming with a lot more things that people automatically buy anyway. So,
Hmm.
and they need to figure out a way to, again, a 500 and 870 is such a simple design. It's like, what do you really have to do? But then again, you look at the market. What do people, again, not just slapping on a Maverick, slapping on a Magpul stock and
Yeah,
a GG&G pick rail and calling it a day. Like, no, come out with something like kind of innovative, like
from
not
the
maybe a,
factory.
yeah, from the factory. I'm not saying come out with a new shotgun load or a new
Hmm.
shotgun shell, like a new like gauge, but come up with something. Like, maybe make it so they're all coming to where if like, why don't they come out with suppressors that are designed to work with that system with a 500 and 870? I have never really shot a suppressed shotgun, but I know there's some suppressors out there like the
There are.
JK Armored Salvo, the Salvo 12 from Silencer Co.
Yeah,
Um,
they're kind of ridiculous. I mean, they're cool for cool factor stuff. I don't think I would ever like use one, but I think you're right. Like I think like so let's say, okay, for an example, Remington is a big company. It's backed by a lot of other big companies, and they have the ability now that they're under PSA to do more stuff. They're better. They're in a better situation financially. They're not the same old Remington, like you said. So if I were considering, okay, when you're looking at a manual pump shotgun, you are the action, right? You're the reliability. You're running the gun, which also leaves room for a lot of error. People induce malfunctions, cause problems and stuff. But so let's just say like you're the operation. So if I had a manual pump shotgun that I was trying to, push off as like a home defense or within 100 yard, defensive shotgun, dude, why don't we make a handguard with a crazy powerful and effective flashlight built in, not some stupid ass Surefire thing with a massive, like the MP5 Surefire handguard, like that was so stupid and massively large. And like, why don't we make something small and sleek that you can barely notice that's there, that's rechargeable, that maybe takes CR123s or something? Why don't we like you said, the receivers are actually being milled for, I don't know why they would do RMSCs like RMRs, or dude, Strike Industries is coming out with more shit than I see, Remington and Mossberg, where they came out with a mount. It's kind of like their exoskeleton mount, but it's for the drill and tap portions of the receivers, where you can put literally any optic you could ever imagine on there, from RMR, RMSC, doctor cut, like every single optic fits on there. Like tritium night sights on shotguns were a thing. Now they're just not. Like, what are they no longer effective? Like, come on, dude.
are
Like,
people just sticking with ghost ring sights because they don't want to try anything else?
yeah,
Like,
or brass beads, or like there's so many more things that they could be doing at the factory, but they're just choosing not to. But they sell, right? They sell, shotguns still sell.
and
And
that's the thing. It's a proven sale. Like, no matter what, it's a
yeah,
sale.
yeah,
Like, they're gonna have it sold.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
so
I
that
agree. Seeing more innovation and seeing cooler things from the factory. Like if Goonbeam could create their own crazy Remington 870 handguard with like a just a nasty like the 110,000 candela assault light in there. If your handguard could do that in the middle of the night, bro, yeah,
That's
I'm
yeah.
buying it.
Yeah. If they can come out with a handguard that has a goon beam built in, that's where I'm at. Uh, but as we're winding down here, we're almost at the top of the hour. So I think whether it's a Mossberg 500 or a Remington 870, buy either one. Obviously, feel the mechanics of it. Like when you're at the gun shop, or if you're like thinking about buying one, I would say hopefully, obviously listen to PewMongous Podcast, because you can, hear both perspectives on two guys that's more of an 870, or one guy is more of a 500 type
And
of
learn stuff.
shoot.
You
Yeah,
could
you
you
can
could
learn
learn stuff
stuff.
from us.
Yeah, exactly. But if you go to a gun shop, guys, and you're looking to buy either or, I always say figure out how you like figure out what safety design you like, whether it's a 500 or an 870. Rack
Yeah,
the action a couple times, see which one is easier for you to rack. All right,
yeah.
cool. Then go to price. Now, 500 right now is going for about what 450, maybe 500 if you're just getting like a basic out the box 500. Remington 870s are going for about 650, 700 depending on the model. So the 870s are going to be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, just figure out what is going to work for you, your budget, what seems easier for you to kind of manipulate, and then go with that.
Yeah, I think the feeling, the ergonomics of it are very important. How big your hands are has a big impact on, like, so like the Mossbergs, not on the Maverick 88, but on the 500s and 590s. The distance from the web of your hand to the trigger is much further than the 870, right? So like, and then of course when you're adding other things, different stocks, and then you add a sling attachment and all that, it pushes it further back, so your length of pull is longer. So even if you originally feel a gun in a gun shop and you're like, whoa, this is comfortable, and then you add stuff aftermarket, it may kind of change that feeling. But definitely knowing that there's a difference, I would say everyone's safest bet out there is, if you're thinking Mossberg, get a Maverick Model 88, because it's a couple $100, few $100 depending on where you live, and it is a gun you can just run wet, run hard and put away wet, and it's just a great gun. It's dirt cheap, and you can run the piss out of it. And a 20-inch barrel version has like 9 rounds you can run in that thing. So I highly recommend that. If you're an 870 dude, run the 870, but get a feel for it first. Go into the shop, get a feel for it, see which one you prefer. Aftermarket support is a big piece too. Oh, and remember, when you're looking at the difference of like the oh yes, so Ein Park just commented, this is an important piece. Um, Safety placement. So one thing we didn't touch on, which is important, is the safety placement. The Tang safety on 500s and 590s, in my opinion, is kind of out of the way and not convenient, because you have to remove your firing grip or use your offhand to disengage the safety. Whereas with a Remington 870 or a Maverick, you can actually use your where your trigger finger is properly placed. So with your trigger finger here alongside of the trigger where it's supposed to be, until you've made the decision to shoot, you can literally just push it with your finger and boom, go right to work, right? Whereas for this, which is a 590, I have to wrap my thumb all the way around and disengage the safety there, or come around with my offhand. I would not personally do this, and disengage the safety there. On the 88 though, it's trigger mounted, right?
Yes.
Can you show it real quick?
So if you're going to you go from here, say, and again,
Oh, that's right. It's forward of the trigger, right?
yeah. So all you have to do is go from here to here.
Yeah.
So this is safe. Now it's on safe, ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. See that's way more convenient. And also, I just like the Model 88. I think it's a great shotgun.
Oh,
Also,
fantastic shotgun.
the 590 A1 and the 500 A1 were originally for military usage. So what they did is they included a metal trigger and a metal um, trigger guard, as opposed to most 500s and 590s that have a plastic trigger, believe it or not, and a plastic trigger guard. But those 500 A1s and 590 A1s come with a bayonet lug, so watch out.
Hell yeah. You don't want to be getting bayoneted with a shotgun. Uh,
Hmm.
but guys, we are over the hour now. Please do me a favor and like both these streams on mine and Dark's channel. I still have to post the last episode we did on the PSA Dagger. I completely forgot to post it this weekend. So please do me a favor and check that out. Uh, we appreciate you guys listening in. We're gonna have to definitely get our own like YouTube and Rumble channels so we can get everybody from both communities into one spot, so it's easier when it comes to looking at comments.
Yeah.
But you can search PewMongous Podcast on my channel, and you're gonna see me and Dark's beautiful face in the last 3 episodes. So next week is gonna be next
Machine
Sunday.
gun.
Yeah, machine guns, totally. Uh, I say we cover the FGC 9.
Man, I think we may have to put more than a week
Prep for
of
that.
research into it, because I'll tell you, man, if
There's so much that goes into that design.
yeah, and there's a lot of dispute in who designed it. And if we come in and say this person designed it, there's going to be a whole slew of people that say no, that's incorrect. This person designed. So I think what would be most appropriate is if we address it, if we address the whenever we do it, we address the platform, talk about its usage in like Myanmar, how people are literally using 3D printed FGC 9s to fight off tyrannical forces, like probably right now as we speak. And then say that there's a big disagreement within the 3D printed community on who designed it. Some people say Jay Stark did it. Some people say, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe a little more. Uh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I guess, but I'll need to look into it.
Well, okay, so that we're gonna table that one. The reason I said that is because I know we talked about it earlier. Did shotgun, two pistols. We gotta have to pick a rifle.
Yeah, we could do it right. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing like the Sig 320. I'm not opposed to doing even the 365 or the 43X, or some of like the um he said check the archive. Did a lot of people believe that Jay Stark did it, and a lot of people want to say that Jay Stark did it because he kind of gave his life to what he did. And I don't know, it's a whole thing. I don't want to get involved with that, so you guys
Yeah,
can
3D print Twitter would just completely demolish you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, they would hate us.
yeah.
But it would give some publicity, that's for sure.
Oh, you know it. Yeah, we'll figure out what gun we're gonna cover next week. I see in the live chat Barantos, which from looking at your little picture, I believe that's Randy reviews it. Uh,
Nice.
over on YouTube. So Randy, what's up, dude? But yeah, so we'll figure out what we're gonna talk about next week, and then we'll review from there. But guys, thank you so much. Please do me a favor and check out DLD After Dark on Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the other forms of social media, as well as DLD Hardware for all your Glock needs.
Appreciate that. And also, guys, feel free to leave a comment of what gun you would like to see discussed. I know this one was kind of several guns in one, but it's because you can't talk about one without talking about the other. And then if you're going to talk about both of those, you kind of got to talk about all of these. So it was kind of a different episode, but it was, like that on purpose. Yeah, let us know if you have a specific thing you want to discuss. I think, you know, the Gen 5 45 would be dope, because people are like, well, that already exists. Well, kind of, but not. Then the 365 43X, the which some people call the Glock 19 killer. So let us know in the comments what you guys want to see, and yeah, check out DLD Hardware for any Glock building stuff, and show SG some love too, man, because Shooting Gallery puts a lot of hard work into this. He's doing all the thumbnails, he's doing a lot of research, and yeah, show the Sigma 9mm.
I will. Okay, whoever said that, I am so down.
That
I
was
am
Z. So he's going by Iron Park, but I think that's Z. So,
okay. So Z, I am so down to talk about the Sigma. I love the story behind that gun.
but if we have to talk about the Sigma, do we also have to talk about the SWVE
No,
40 and
it's
9?
the same thing. It's literally the same thing.
It is,
It's
and
the same SDVE, the Sigma. It's the same gun.
ooh,
I
the
don't.
Sigma 380. You remember that shit?
Oh
That
my
little
god.
shitter with
Well,
the
that's a whole episode on that gun because it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
just I gotta those are certain guns I gotta buy just for having in the collection.
I know. I think we should talk about like the AMT backups
Yes,
as
the
well. The hardballers.
P3ATs, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's Caltech P3ATs, yeah. Those are gonna be fun episodes.
yeah.
I know Johnny B is gonna love it because he always makes fun of me for loving those types of guns.
They're
Uh,
great. They're great.
yeah,
They
they're
work.
fun. They've
Yeah,
80% of the time, all the time.
exactly. As long as it's not a Ruger LCP, those don't work.
Yeah, those suck. Those are suck.
LCP literally stands for little crappy pistol.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah.
But guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're checking both of us out on YouTube and Rumble and all social medias. Check out DLD Hardware and check out Fat Tack because that's where some merch of ours is going to be soon. So join us next week for episode 4 of the PewMongous Podcast. Peace.
Where we're discussing the Geisley Super Duty. Just kidding.